Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you are already a subscriber, thank you so much for coming back. And if you're new here, welcome. My name is Francia, and on this channel, we do a little bit of everything, but lately I have been into true crime. So if you also like true crime, I hope you hit your subscribe button and your notification bell so that you always know when I upload. Today's story takes place in Russia, okay? It's in Russia. Now, I can barely speak English, so get ready to hear some interesting pronunciation of these Russian cities and names, okay? Bear with me, but also mind the business that pays you. Mind thy business, okay? Because the way I'm about to pronounce these names, Lord Jesus, have mercy. Have mercy. Okay, so as you can see in the title already, today's story involves a chessboard. Now, I don't play chess. I don't understand chess, but if you're familiar with it, chess is a game of strategy. It's two people, very smart people, battling it out, mind against mind. But this guy, the one we're about to talk about, each one of those squares on the chessboard meant something different to him, something very dark. And every time he would move a piece, his little obsession would keep growing. He had a violent desire to leave his mark on history, but not the way that you would think. Not by being the greatest chess player to ever roam the face of the planet, not by teaching other children how to become great chess players, or no, none of that. That's too lame. He wanted to unalive as many people as there were squares on his chessboard. Yeah, that was his dream. And if you're like me and you don't know anything about chess, there are 64 squares on a chessboard, okay? Homeboy wanted to fill up every square with a body, so he decided to unalive folks. This serial killer is believed to have unalived at least 49 people and possibly as many as 60, even though he claimed that it's way more than 60, but yeah. He took the lives of all these people for his little chessboard fantasy. All this happened between the years of 1992 and 2006. Who exactly are we talking about? Let's get into it. Okay, the Russian names. Here goes nothing. Alexander Yuryevich Picheshkin was born on April 9th, 1974 in Mitishki, Russia. Basically, we're just gonna, Russia, because his mother, him, his younger half-sister, her husband, and their son all together lived in a 2-bedroom apartment near this park called Bitsa Park, which is where he would do most of his unaliving. And get this park was only a 6-minute walk from his apartment. So homeboy would just like take a stroll down the road, grab somebody, and then did his little business and walked the 6-minute back to his apartment. That is crazy. It was said that Alexander's developmental years were relatively normal up until an incident that happened when he was around 4 years old, right? He was at the park playing, having fun, going on the slide, going on the swing, hee hee ha ha, all the good stuff that kids do, right? So he's on the swing, swinging, I'm guessing as high up as he can go. And then he fell backward and hit his head, and the swing then swung back and hit him in the forehead. And according to experts, this little incident that he had at the park, it may have damaged the front of his brain, and this type of damage could potentially cause him to have very poor impulse control. That's always fun. He could also become more aggressive. And to make matters worse, this all happened when he was a child, which is even more severe because the child's forehead is not like that of an adult. It doesn't offer as much protection as an adult forehead would, so his brain didn't do well with that type of hit. You know what I mean? So, yeah, there's that. And these experts' opinion turned out to be very accurate because after the accident, Alexander would have very frequent bouts of hostility and extremely poor impulse control. And things weren't that great at school either. Like, children would physically and verbally abuse him and bully him. They'd call him a retard, amongst other things, which would further anger him. And nothing good, as we all know, can come out of bullying, okay? Nothing good comes out of bullying. I'm having flashbacks. Anyways, his behaviors and the bullying were so bad that his mother had to, at some point, transfer him from the regular public school that he was going to a school for children with learning disabilities. By his adolescent years, he had moved in with his grandpa from his mom's side, like his mom's dad. Grandpa was upset because he felt like his little grandson was way too intelligent for the school that he was attending. And he also felt like the school wasn't doing a good job teaching him. He felt they focused more on controlling his behaviors and overcoming his disability situation rather than teaching him great life skills and basically helping him to tap into his intelligence. He also felt like his daughter, Alexander's mother, didn't have a whole lot of activities, like after school activities going on to like keep challenging Alexander's brain more. So he was like, yeah, enough of this. Okay? Come with me, baby boy. I will show you great things. So he did. He taught him how to play, you guessed it, chess. Yeah. Alexander would fall in love with chess, and the more he learned about the chess, the better he became at it. And then he started to play against other people, like the elderly man in Betsy Park. He became so good at playing chess that it became a channel for his aggression, because he could focus all that stuff, all that gunky stuff he had going on inside of him. He could focus all that into winning, and he would win most of his games, if not all of them. Okay. Chess became almost his sanctuary, like an outlet for his mind, if you will. And even though he was still being bullied by other children, he continued to keep his behavior under control as long as he was playing chess and hanging out with grandpa and all that good stuff. However, unfortunately, all that would come to a halt because towards the end of his adolescent years, his grandfather passed away. Oh man, that's not good. That is sad. Which left Alexander with a void that he did not know what to do with. I can only imagine, like as a young boy, he looked up to this man. This man literally pulled him out of a dark place and gave him an outlet, this great game. They had a connection. You know, that was his buddy. And now he had no idea how he was going to fill this void. And as a result, he began to exhibit violent tendencies yet again, you know, as a possible reaction to the loss and trauma that he was experiencing at the time. Now, Alexander had to move back to his mom's house, but as you can imagine, he was still in a dark place. He continued to play chess both at home and in Betsy Park, but it wasn't the same without Granddad. To help him further cope and ease the pain, he started to consume very large quantities of vodka. Yeah, the kid was out here playing chess with all these older men and drinking just like them, except his alcohol intake never affected his game. He could hold his liquor, okay? Around this time, Alexander developed a new hobby, though. He was like, yeah, this is the alcohol and the chess is not really doing it. I gotta find something else to do. So he started bothering children and recording the process on his little camera. On one occasion, he recorded himself on camera holding a child by one leg upside down, saying to the child, quote, "You are in my power now. I'm going to drop you from the window and you will fall 15 meters to your death," end quote. And then he would go home and watch these videos over and over again just to remind himself how powerful he was. But this little activity wouldn't last for long. He would get bored. And by 1992, he was over it. He wanted bigger and better. He felt like the best way he could go on in this life was to unalive people. The best way for him to control his anger, his urges, numb the pain from losing his grandfather was to unalive people. He stated, quote, "For me, a life without murder is a life without food for you," end quote. Sir, what you needed to murder was that little voice in your head telling you to do these things. What you needed to kill was your desire to unalive these people, okay? These are the things that needed murdering, not actual people, you sick person. Yeah, no, but that's not what he did. He didn't kill those little voice, the little instinct, the little things. He didn't kill those. He didn't kill those. He decided he was going to, in fact, unalive people. His target location was Betsy Park, which was, like I said, 6-minute walk from his house. He used this park as his hunting ground. He targeted people who seemed vulnerable, like elderly men and some women. He lured his victims with the promise of a drink or companionship and all that good stuff. And then once they were drunk enough or tipsy enough and isolated enough, he would strike. He would bludgeon his victims with a blunt object and dump their bodies in a sewer. Yeah. Now, most of these people, like these serial killers, they usually have an ammo and they have a way of unaliving people and disposing of their bodies. In Alexander's case, yes, he was unaliving people and disposing of their bodies in a way, but his obsession was not the killings. His obsession was the chessboard. He wasn't killing just to kill. He wanted to fulfill a quota. One life for every square on the chessboard. The people were just merely used as tools. They were spawns in a larger game, if you will. But he was obsessed with the chessboard. That thing represented control and order in his chaotic mind. It wasn't necessarily just impulse. It was, like I said, an obsession that was driven by a deep-seated need to leave a lasting mark. Wrong mark, my guy. Wrong mark. Then his other motivation for unaliving these people was that he was in competition with another serial killer in Russia who had unalived 50-something people, and he wanted to surpass this guy. He wanted to surpass this guy. What a goal to have. What a goal to have. Sir, get better goals. Please have better goals because that one sucks. It does. It did. And as I was reading the story, I started thinking, what would have happened once he, say, reached 50-something people? He surpassed the guy, or he completed all 64 squares on his chessboard. Was he just going to magically stop? And then, of course, I was ahead of myself because I read further that he said he had zero intention of stopping. He was going to continue to do this indefinitely had he not been caught. That is crazy. That is a crazy thought. The wonderful people we share this world with. And so it began. Alexander would kill for the first time on July 27th, 1992, when he was 18 years old. So what happened was Alexander and his little classmate, Mikhail Odichuk, oh my goodness, arranged a little meeting up at Bitsa Park to come up with a plan as to how they were going to unalive 64 people, right? So they gathered for their little meeting, and Mikhail then proceeded to tell Alexander that he couldn't go through with it. He didn't want to do this anymore. He felt bad. He felt different about the plan, so he chickened out. And Alexander, instead of just letting him go, he felt just let down, betrayed, and annoyed, and he just strangled the boy to death. Yeah, he strangled him, and then he threw his body in the sewer entrance of the park. And then he just walked the 6-minute walk back to his apartment as if nothing happened. Yeah, just calmly returned home. The boy's body was never found. An investigation was opened, and in the disappearance of Mikhail, and eyewitnesses stated that he was last seen walking towards the park with Alexander. So on the 30th of July, Alexander was arrested in his apartment and taken in for questioning. When they asked him about his schedule for that day, he admitted that he did in fact meet up with Mikhail, but he pinky swore that he left him at the park and he was alive and well. Like I said before, the boy's body was never found, so they didn't have anything to go on, no evidence, no DNA, nothing tying him, Alexander, that is, to the little boy, except him being the last person to see him before he disappeared. So they had to let him go. After this little incident, I don't know if he got scared of actually being caught or being charged or something, but he stopped for a few years. However, in 1996, Russia put a hold on the death penalty. I don't know why. Maybe they were rethinking the whole situation, trying to come up with a different outcome. I don't know. But the point is, the death penalty was on hold as of 1996, which reignited his little killing fire. Okay. Alexander decided that was his best time. Okay, he was like, bet. Okay, great. They lifted it for a minute. Let me just unalive as many people as I can during this time so I can fill up my squares. What? Sir, no. So he would ponder upon that for a minute, and he decided it was a go. He decided to go with it. So on May 17th, 2001, Alexander was in the park playing chess with this 52-year-old man named, here we go, Yevgeny Pronin. Oh, lordy. After they were done playing, Alexander invited Pronin to take a walk with him, claiming that it was the anniversary of his dog and that he wanted to go visit the grave site in Bitsa Park. Ah, man. Poor guy. He fell for it and went with Alexander to the isolated area of the park where Alexander pulled out a bottle of vodka and offered him a drink. They drank, made a toast to the dog, and then he struck Pronin in the back of the head with the bottle. Oh, Lord. Once the guy was dead, he threw his body into a nearby well or sewer, if you will. That's sad. Poor guy. He was only 52. 52 is not that old, okay? When they say older men, I thought they were gonna say people in their like 70s, 80s. But 52 is fairly relatively young, you know? I wonder if he couldn't take on Alexander. No, he was in his 20s. Young and vibrant. Guess not. But anyways, he would continue killing people like this for years, doing the same thing. He would lure them to the isolated part of the park, strike them in the head. He usually would attack his victim from behind so that he could take them by surprise. And he also wanted to avoid spilling blood on his clothes. Yeah, he would strike them in the head with a hammer or a bottle and then throw them into the sewage canal. He would occasionally spike the victim's skulls with sticks or an empty vodka bottle. This guy was sick. He was sick. He would literally shove sticks or a vodka bottle in the open, like the gap in their skull, like where he hit them, it would split open because he would hit them so hard, and then he would stick something up in that break in their skull. That's crazy. It was said that sometimes some of his victims were still alive when he would throw them in there, and they would eventually drown. Oh man. Outside of, 3 people who actually survived being thrown in there while still alive. The rest of them would end up drowning. Can you imagine? Just, it's a sewage system. You're in there like, oh man. Oh man. In the mid 2000s, before he got caught, his ammo would change a little bit. He started getting comfortable and he started just leaving the bodies, just laying in the park. He wasn't trying to throw them somewhere and hide them anymore. They were just laying in the park for people to find. Alexander would kill for the last time in 2006. On June 2006, he offered to go on a walk with a 36-year-old co-worker named Marina Moskalyova. I think I got that one right. Even though she was suspicious of him, had a terrible gut feeling about the guy, she decided to go anyway. But before she left, she wrote a note to let her son know who she was out with. And then she also left Alexander's phone number. Now, Alexander knew all of this and he didn't care because he already knew that he had every intention of killing the lady. So he didn't care what note she left. He didn't care to be careful. Like I said, towards the end of his spree, he became very careless. So yeah, he didn't care. He was on a mission. He was motivated. He did end up killing her, and her body was discovered in Bitsa Park on June 14th, 2006, in the same manner as the other victims that they had found in the park. A blow to the back of the head and a vodka bottle inserted into the open skull. And on this particular victim, they found a metro ticket, like a bus ticket, like a train ticket or something. I don't know. And with that, they were able to review surveillance footage from the metro system, and it showed that she was accompanied by none other than Alexander. So they arrested homeboy, and immediately he caved and he spilled it all. He took the police to all the areas in the park where he had unalived people and told them exactly how he killed them. Apparently, there is a process in Russia where they have the perpetrator reenact their crimes while they film them. And Alexander just performed so greatly. He remembered every single little detail. He was very accurate, very on point. He was perfect in his reenactment. Their words, not mine. He told officers that he unalived most people with his favorite method, blow to the back of the head, but some of them he threw them in the sewer lines while they were still alive, and that 3 of them survived. He also claimed that he felt like God. Get out of here. Get out of here. This guy was full of it. He was full of it. He felt like God deciding whether or not his victim should live or die. That's just evil, sir. That's just evil. It's called free will. You're not God. You just have free will. You just happen to have free will. Okay? Calm down. He said, quote, "In all cases, I killed for only one reason. I killed in order to live, because when you kill, you want to live." End quote. No, sir. There's a lot of us out here that have not taken a single life, and yet here we are living. This ain't the jungle. You're not on the food chain, okay? Those people were not your prey. It's not a kill or be killed situation. You did all that stuff because you wanted to, because you're sick. What do you mean you're trying to live? You don't have to kill people to live. You did all that stuff because you're evil. That is it. That is all. But since no good deed goes unpunished, on October 24th, 2007, Alexander was convicted of 49 murders and 3 attempted murders. But get this. Alexander here felt like he was cheated, okay? He felt like he was cheated out of more bodies, so he added 11 more victims to his list. He felt like it wasn't right to leave them out. Okay, he asked the court, people usually try to not, but I think he also knew he wasn't going to get the death penalty because that was not a thing. So he didn't care if he spent the rest of his miserable life in jail. So he wanted credit for as many murders as possible. Yeah, he asked the court to add the additional 11 victims to his body count. Yeah, that's crazy. That is sick. He was so desperate to fill up this chessboard. Oh my goodness. Anyway, so when it came to sentencing, Alexander received a life in prison with the first 15 years to be spent in solitary confinement. Homeboy would later appeal his sentence, saying that it was too harsh and asked to serve only 25 years. Excuse me? Excuse you, sir? Did you forget how many lives you took and how you hurt these people? You don't think the ones that drowned in the sewer wasn't too harsh? You don't think hitting somebody in the head so harsh that you crack open their skull, you don't think that's harsh? Man, you're lucky they took the death penalty off the table before you did all that. Talking about harsh. Harsh my arse. C'est enragé, man. Ou pas so fin touye tout moun sa yo, and then kounya la bezwen pou yo bo 25 ans selma. C'est PI? Makes me mad. Anyways, as of 2017, Alexander was still chilling in solitary confinement in the Arctic panel colony Polar Owl. And I heard, I could be wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, but I heard a Russian prison is not like American prison, okay? It's not no walk in the park. It's not cute, and you don't want to go there, from what I heard, okay? You see how people are so comfortable going to prison over here? They do the same crime over and over, because prison over here is not prisoning, okay? I've never been, but if it's so horrible, I don't know why people are repeat offenders. It must not be that horrible, because a lot of y'all over here in these states that are united are repeat offenders, and you just don't mind going back in there because it's a walk in the park. But I heard it's not like that in Russia, okay? Yeah. Homeboy is still in solitary confinement, and I love this for him. Now, while Alexander may spend the rest of his life in prison, the impact of his crimes remains a chilling reminder of the darkness that can lurk beneath the surface. Okay, you can be looking at somebody, they look all nice and calm, but you never know what could be going on in that noggin of theirs, okay? It is an example of how seemingly innocent obsession can turn into dangerous fixations when coupled with a mind that is capable of such violence. So beware. Beware, because his little obsession with chess turned into something completely different because homeboy was already deranged up in there. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the story of Alexander Pichushkin. Do y'all think that his head injury was solely responsible for turning him into that monster, or did homeboy already got some cooking up in there and the head injury just worsened things? What do you think? Comment below. Also, before I wrap up, as I was looking him up. You know who he reminds me of? I don't know if you guys have seen this movie called Split. He reminds me of what's his name? McAvoy something. I don't remember the first name, but McAvoy. He reminded me of this guy McAvoy from the movie Split. Let me know what you think. Tell me if you see what I'm seeing. Tell me that you don't see at least a little bit of a resemblance between him and James. I think it's James McAvoy in this movie Split. Or am I tripping? Let me know. Anyways, that is all I have for you guys today. Let me know what you think down below in the comment section. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. And please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And I will see you guys in my next one. But until then, I hope to see you in the comment section. Bye.